Hello everyone, it's SpawnPoiint, and last week PlayStation released a new update for the PS5 that brings us quite a few new features. So today we're going to go over those and see how they all work. Now everything I show you is taken from the public beta, and it will probably be about another month until the full release goes live, but we can still take a look and see what we're getting. So PlayStation have added a couple of cool new features that they've marked as accessibility features, but there's a lot more to it than that. The first is the ability to add a second controller for assistance. So normally when you turn on a second controller and select your account, it will automatically turn off your first controller and your second one now becomes primary. Well, in this update, you'll be able to have two controllers paired to the same account at the same time. Essentially, the second controller now becomes an assist controller. All you need to do is go into the settings, accessibility, controllers, and use second controller for assistance, then turn this setting on. Now when you turn the second controller on, you can choose the same account and both will have control. This is perfect if you need to help a friend or a child while playing a game and you don't need or want to keep passing the controller back and forth. It is worth mentioning though that the DualSense Edge controller cannot be used as an assist controller, only the normal DualSense can. And some features such as the motion sensor, haptic feedback and adaptive triggers will be turned off when using it as an assist controller. So if you do have children or you just want to help somebody else out during a single player game, this is a really cool way of doing it. Also, as we've got the new Access controller launching in December, it means you can have that and a DualSense paired at the same time. So again, if you were helping somebody else out, it's going to make that so much easier. Another new accessibility feature is you can now turn on haptic feedback for when navigating around the PS5. So the home screen and menus will now give you feedback in your DualSense Edge and your PSVR 2 Sense controllers. To turn this on, you can go into settings, accessibility, controllers and turn on the haptic feedback during console navigation. And it doesn't just work when navigating around, because you can feel it when you reach the limit of a scrollable section, checking a box or when you receive a notification. So although it's designed with accessibility in mind, I actually think it adds a nice immersive experience for everybody, but I assume it'll use more battery on your controller over time. Okay, so we all know how iconic this sound is. It's been here since the PS3, but have you ever been in a situation where you just wish you could switch it off? Well, now you can. So PlayStation have added the ability to either reduce the volume or mute it entirely. I know for most of you the sound is absolutely fine and you couldn't imagine why anyone would want to switch it off. But if you're gaming late at night or you've got family or children asleep and you don't want them to hear it booting up, this is a big deal. So to apply this setting, all you need to do is go into the settings, system and beep sound. Then in here you can either adjust the sound or swap between these three options. It looks like it's always been set to high as that's the standard. Then there's medium and low. Or you can turn it off completely. And here's how it sounds when you turn it on with no sound at all. Okay, this feels weird. Like I'm waiting for the beep but I know it's not coming. I think I'll keep it on, but I might just set it to medium instead. And another big upgrade is we're getting the support for larger M.2 SSDs. So we got the SSD slot unlocked about 2 years ago and that allowed us to add an additional 4TB. I've been running the 2TB Western Digital Black SN850 in one PS5 and the 4TB Corsair MP600 in another. But in this update they've actually increased the limit from 4TB to 8TB. So if you can find a reasonably priced 8TB SSD, good luck, that meets the system requirements as listed on PlayStation's website, you could literally add hundreds of games and never really worry about running out of storage. I was tempted to buy an 8TB drive just to test out in today's video, but to be honest I didn't really fancy spending nearly £900. But if somebody wants to send me one, I will happily test it out for you. And seriously, would you add 8TB to your PS5? It seems excessive, but if you've got games that are around 200 to 250GB each, that's still only 35 to 40 games. Okay, so a big one for those who have a Dolby Atmos setup, such as a TV, soundbar or home theatre system, is the support for Dolby Atmos. What this means is games that support 3D audio, well, these can now be enjoyed using Dolby Atmos devices, and this is a huge win. All you need to do is go into the settings, sound and audio output, and you'll now see Dolby Atmos is now listed in the drop-down menu. PlayStation themselves have stated that media app providers can update their apps on PS5 to support Dolby Atmos audio, giving users another way to experience immersive audio in movies, TV shows and more in the future. So although it's not currently supported during the beta, the fact that apps like Netflix could be updated to support it is awesome. Now I don't personally have an Atmos setup as I'm using a traditional 5.1, but for those that are using overhead or upwards firing speakers, I'm sure this is going to be an awesome update for you. It looks like we've got about 5 new social related features, including a party UI update. This now lets you invite a player into a closed party without automatically adding that user into the group or creating another new party. I'll be honest, I've lost count how many parties I've now got because you add one new user and then it creates another party. So this is actually quite a nice update to have. So I'm not sure about you, but I actually share my gameplay quite a lot when I'm in a party. It usually happens when there are 5 of us playing Warzone and we actually rotate who's playing. Instead of the 5th player sitting there doing nothing for 20 minutes, they can watch our game. Well, now when there's an active screen share, you can actually see a preview image of the screen so you know exactly what they're playing. Okay, so another one is you can now join a friend's game session even more easily. Instead of going to your friends list and clicking on a friend or going via the party screen, you can now jump straight into it from the friends list. Just press the options button and select join game or hit the join button on their profile card. It also looks like the UI on the dashboard has been updated to include the Game Hub tournament tile. So if you are entered into any tournaments, this will now show up on the right hand side. And if you often send or receive messages on the PS5, well, you can now react to those messages without needing to actually reply. So next to each message, there's this little icon that you can press and choose one of these 6 emojis. It will just make replying or reacting to those messages that little bit easier and quicker. Talking of ease of use, it looks like the game library has had a nice update where you can now search for your games within your library. So instead of using the system-wide search bar that searches for your library as well as all of the games in the store, you can now search for just the games you have installed or the ones that you own. This is definitely useful when you've got hundreds of games installed and know exactly what you want to play. So on this PS5 I've got 21 games installed, so that's not really a problem. But on my other PS5 I have nearly 100 games, so I can see this being useful. Now, game cards aren't new and they are extremely helpful when you're playing through games and you get stuck or you just need some assistance. So in addition to the in progress activities where it shows you how you're getting on in certain challenges or part of the game, you can now see available, previously available and upcoming and completed activities. So you can now go back and check on the ones you've already completed or what new ones you should expect in the future. They've also moved the details to the right side of the card, which makes it slightly easier to follow when you've selected a card. And this next one is a really nice user-friendly feature. So instead of reading through the release notes after each new update and trying to see what's new, you can now visually see a list of tips and new features in the settings area. I can see this being useful for those who apply the automatic updates and don't really check what's new, whereas now at least you can see exactly what's changed and how they will work. Okay, so that was a quick look at the latest beta update and the new features that we've got. Are there any that stand out for you? Also, what other features would you like to see added in the future? I'd quite like to see the ability to change the LED colour on the front of the console. It would be awesome to have the blue LED on all of the time. I'd also like to have themes added just like we had on the PS4, but I have been saying this since my launch day video on the channel, so surely it's only a matter of time. Now drop a PS5 update in the comments and I'll give you a thumbs up for staying right till the end. And if you did enjoy today's video, check out my cheap PS5 accessory video next, as that covers some budget friendly items that you can pick up for your own setup. Thanks for watching, please like, sub and follow me everywhere. Until next time.